The Missouri Firearms Coalition haven't had time to do a live video in the last couple of days. Thought we'd make time for that tonight. Hope you guys are having a good evening. Come on into this video. Let me know where you're watching from. Post your location in the comment section. Help the video be seen by more gun owners. That is always our goal here, to get the information into the hands of gun owners across the state of Missouri so you know what's going on with these spineless cowards, whether it's in Jeff City or whether it's in Washington, D.C. So comment below. If you guys can hear me, let me know where you're watching from. Post your location in the comment section. The crowd's building up here right now. We're going to begin this video here just in a couple of seconds. Got to put my phone on mute. But guys, comment and tell me where you're watching from. I see Richard getting piped in here right now from Taneyville. We've got folks watching from different parts of the state right now. We've got Steve in KC. You guys comment and tell us where you're at. We see Gary here. So the sound is good. Gary, you know what I'm talking about, getting that sound check. I appreciate that. You know, guys, session is winding down. Session is almost over for 2022. We're going to talk about what's happening right now in Jeff City. But also, before that, we're going to answer a lot of questions we're getting from you guys on what is the situation right now with the DOJ, what's happening with the Department of Justice after the most recent Missouri Supreme Court decision on SAPA. You know, where are we at from there? Benny White, I see you on here, man. Talked to you on the phone today. Good to see you on the program here tonight. So a lot of different topics in tonight's video. We're going to answer all your questions. If you have questions, post them in the comment section, and we'll answer those throughout the broadcast tonight. But as you all probably saw in the news and in our email blast in the last couple of days, we did receive a decision from the Missouri State Supreme Court on the DOJ's effort to repeal Missouri's SAPA law. Everybody knows why this is happening. Lots of states claim they've got SAPA, right? Lots of states claim they have SAPA, but nobody has SAPA law like we have SAPA law here in Missouri, because Missouri is the only state that allows it allows Benny White, it allows Robert Waller, it allows Ray Wilson, all you folks who are watching right now, it allows you guys to take an agency who violates SAPA into court. And that is what makes Missouri's the best SAPA law in America. It actually has real teeth. That's why Biden's freaking out about it. That's why Biden wants to have it repealed. So earlier this session, I think it was around the middle of February, we were there in the Supreme Court right across from the Capitol as the Biden DOJ, slick little lawyer, flew in from Washington, D.C., and try to tell the Supreme Court why they should overturn Missouri's SAPA law. And it didn't go very good for the DOJ that day. They had a lot of tough questions from the justices, and you could tell that these Supreme Court justices were not very pleased that they were being asked to invalidate a law that had never had a lower court ruling on its constitutionality. The thing is, the Supreme Court is a court of appeal. It is not a court of first appeal. That was their phrase. I memorized it. It stuck with me. And so their point that day in February to the DOJ was, why are you asking us to decide on if SAPA is constitutional or not when it hasn't even had that decision in a lower court? And so the ruling that came down from the Supreme Court last week, I would say it was a win for the most part. What they could have done was just shut down the entire attack from the DOJ. That did not happen. We wish it happened. That part did not happen. But what they did do is they ordered the case back down to the circuit court, which made the decision last fall. This is Cole County Circuit Court. And they told that court to issue an opinion or issue a decision on whether or not SAPA is constitutional. Now, we like our chances very much at that lower court level. Very, very much indeed. But again, before the Supreme Court in Missouri is going to rule on whether or not it's constitutional, they want a lower court judge to do it first. That's the way the process works. So some people say they punted the football. They might have. We'd love to see them say, hell no, SAPA's fine. Get the hell out of Missouri, DOJ. This is our state. They didn't say that. They didn't say that, but it is not by any means a ruling against us. They just said, send it back down to the lower court first and have them decide. Now, we're not 100% sure yet at this point in time, what that timeline looks like. It might be several months. Excuse me. It might be mid-late summer. It might be around the primaries in August. We're not 100% sure yet on the timing on that. But that's going to happen, and MOFC is going to be there engaged in that fight, just like we have been this entire time. Now, separate from that, though, we also did just hear from the federal court on the timing of the other lawsuit. Because, again, the DOJ got their ass kicked in circuit court last fall, right? They all know that. They did not get what they wanted in the Missouri Supreme Court last week. They did not get SAPA shut down, and they doubt they will in the Supreme Court here. And so their other option now, their other play, their other Hail Mary, if you want to use that phrase, is a federal lawsuit, a separate federal lawsuit that they initiate on their own in federal court, trying to get a federal judge to invalidate SAPA, irregardless of what happens here in the circuit court. So that fight is coming fast. In fact, we just found out the date of that. It's going to be June 22 in federal court in Kansas City. June 22 this year in Kansas City in federal court. That is when the fight's going to go loud, when the DOJ is going to have their entire team. And I want to be clear on this. This is not some local guy that the DOJ has on retainer. It's not their local AUSA from Kansas City. They are bringing in teams of people from Washington, D.C., because Merrick Garland himself, the Attorney General, on orders from Joe Biden, from creepy Uncle Joe, is attacking SAPA in the media. This is coming straight from the White House, straight from Merrick Garland. They are demanding that they find a federal judge somewhere, a judge somewhere to invalidate SAPA. And the reason here is crystal clear. It's just crystal clear. These guys all know that if SAPA stands here in Missouri, that number one, Missourians are immune from their tyranny. And number two, they know it's going to continue to spread all across the country, especially in red states. And so they are desperately trying to find a way to shut it down here and kill that national momentum. That's why they're trying, not once, not twice, but now a third time, trying to find a way to kill Missouri's SAPA law. So, folks, this only happened because you guys made it happen. The Missouri Firearms Coalition fought like hell last year to pass SAPA. Senator Burleson fought like hell last year to pass SAPA. Representative Taylor fought like hell last year to pass SAPA. And so this is only happening because the members of the Missouri Firearms Coalition. And folks, we're asking you right now, we need you to stand with us again and to keep standing with us as we battle these fights in the federal courthouse coming up here in the very near future. So there's a link right here. I'm going to post it again in the comment section. Many of you have already made generous donations to help us in court. I'm just going to ask you again, straight up, we need your help to continue this fight. We're not done by any means. We're making great progress. There is the link right there. We're making progress. We've defeated them twice already, but now we have to do it again in federal court. And I'm just going to say this. When we whoop their ass in federal court in Kansas City later on this year, and I believe we will, I wouldn't be surprised at all to watch this thing go right into the United States Supreme Court, because these guys don't have any choice. This is for all the marbles for the DOJ. If they lose here in Missouri, it's going to spread all across America. We know that because we're pushing this with our sister organizations in red states all across America. And in many states, what we're hearing from kind of weakling rhinos is, well, we'll do it here, like Iowa, for example, my home state. Well, we'll do it here in Des Moines, but we want to see what's happening in Missouri first. That is the response we're hearing in places like Georgia, places like Ohio, places like Iowa, as I mentioned, places like Wyoming, other states where they want to do it, they say, but they're waiting to see what happens with the legal challenge here in Missouri. Now, they shouldn't wait for that. They should have the guts that the Missouri legislature had last year to make this happen, but they just don't. They don't. And so it is essential that we continue to fight and hold the line here in Missouri for our own freedoms, but also for the freedoms of red states across the country. Because if this passes, if this survives these challenges, it's going to pass in states all across America, because this is no longer just theory, right? This is no longer just a theory that we're worried about futuristic threats, because we now have 3 executive orders that we know have already been issued. The final orders have already been published on the Federal Registry, and these are coming in real time. In June of this year, before we even get to the federal court in Kansas City, in June of this year, the first order, which makes it a crime for a gunsmith to operate, to work on an 80% lower receiver without putting a serial number on there and add it to the federal database, becomes effective. So you're not a felon if you own an 80% lower receiver-based firearm, but you would be a felon, or the gunsmith would be a felon. If anybody works on it with an FFL, they would be a felon if they don't forcibly put a serial number on that firearm and add your homemade firearm into a federal database. It's all about tracking your gun. That's the first one. That's just the first one. The second one that we already know about deals with the ever popular AR-15 pistol brace. And we all know what these are. I mean, they're very popular items because they help you control an AR-15 pistol. I mean, I don't know about you, but I would think that even the Biden DOJ would want people who own firearms to have the tools they need to make them more controllable. But with this madman, there is no rational thought in this fool. So the second one, again, would make you a criminal if you actually attach a pistol brace to a firearm. It doesn't make it a crime because they're cowards. So they're not making it a crime to own a pistol brace. They're making it a crime to use a pistol brace. And their own estimates that 10 to 40 million Americans already possess these items. I'm reading some of the comments here. So that's number 2, and that's going to be effective in August. And now the third one that Biden rambled on about in the Rose Garden 10 days ago, deals with upper receivers. They are reclassifying the definition of an upper receiver, and they're reclassifying what a firearm means, so that every upper receiver produced going forward would have to have a serial number. If you know anything about guns, especially like AR-15s or all different kinds of handguns, you know that these parts, the upper receivers, first of all, they're not considered a firearm right now, and they're interchangeable. So if you want to swap out barrels on your AR-15, that's about a 30-second deal for guys who know how to do that kind of thing. They're not tracked by the government. That's a great thing. And there's just simply an accessory that goes on top of the lower receiver. But what Biden announced in the White House recently was that we're going to mandate a serial number on all upper receivers going forward, redefining what a firearm means, and making it a felony then for gun owners, for us to buy a firearm that doesn't have an upper receiver with a serial number on. The whole goal here, again, is to track everything. They want to track who has upper receivers. They want to track who has lower receivers. They want to make it a crime to have an AR-15 pistol brace. It's all about making it possible for them to come after us, to imprison us. This won't stop a single criminal in the entire state, in the entire country. We know that. But it's going to be used against us, and we all know that as well. Now, we're getting some comments here. I'm going to answer some of these. Liberty Revolutionary and Gun Eye. You guys have been commenting on all of our videos lately. If you have a problem, that's fine. But I find it humorous that your comments are always anonymous. There's no names listed, and you guys talk a big game, and there's no comments with your actual name on it. So the question is, the federal Supreme Court has no jurisdiction here in Missouri, so the hell with them. Liberty Revolutionary says Supreme Court has no jurisdiction at all. They're not legitimate. So the federal court agrees. Great. If they don't, they still can't stop the enforcement of SAPA. But guys, if you want to argue that, that's fine. But for everybody else, I'm not saying that we appreciate this. This is the definition of tyranny in some cases, but the reality is if a federal court judge or the Supreme Court invalidates SAPA, you're going to see federal gun control laws. You're going to see these orders enforced by police departments across the state. I don't care if you think it's right or wrong. This is the dilemma that we face today. St. Louis PD is not going to sit back and not enforce Biden's executive orders because they believe, or you believe, that the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction. So we can sit here and have these conversations about how we're going to go to battle against these people. No, we want to make sure that we save SAPA so we have the constitutional and legal right to tell the DOJ to pound sand. That is our focus. That's why we passed SAPA in the first place. And the reason why you guys and your anonymous names, the reason why you have these protections right now is because the members of the Missouri Firearms System fought to make sure this happened last year here in Jeff City. Now our goal is to fight and make sure that we save this law so we have the authority we need, the underpinnings we need to resist these federal executive orders. Don't forget, folks, these things never, ever passed through Congress. These laws never passed through Congress. They're not laws. They're orders. It's tyranny by fiat. Biden just got up there, read the papers that he was given by his handlers, right, and said, we're going to make it a crime to have an unserialized 80% lower. We're going to make it a crime to have an unserialized upper, and we're going to make it a crime to have a pistol brace attached to your firearm. This guy does not have the authority to make law by executive fiat. So we have two options as gun owners. We can work on protecting SAPA, which we're doing here right now. The other option is legal challenges. And MOFC will be involved in legal challenges against the DOJ on this. But here's the thing. You cannot engage in the legal process until after these laws, these orders have taken effect. There have to be gun owners who are victimized by these orders who can show harm before we can go into court and fight back against them in court. So until that time, SAPA and preserving SAPA is our primary and number one goal here because, again, it is freedom's roadmap for Red America. And it's pending all over the country right now in these various state capitals. Every time we stop a legal attack, against it from the DOJ, we are putting more and more momentum in these red states, telling them this is what you need to do. This is why you need to do it. So, guys, again, if you can donate to help us keep fighting with our legal team in court, we need your help right away. This is the time. This is urgent. It's happening right now, and we need your support right away. Now, changing gears on what's happening right now in Jeff City. Again, we're very close to the end of session. Everybody knows that. Time is running out big time. And guys, we need you to help us continue to put pressure on the rhinos who are blocking the advancement of House Bill 2118. Now, I'm going to put a link here right now in the comment section. Guys, there are some links. There is some information that we cannot post on Facebook. For example, we can't give people's cell phone numbers on Facebook. If we do that, our page will be banned and we'll lose that platform. So we can't give you individual cell numbers of politicians in Jeff City there, but we can post more comprehensive information on Telegram. And what I just posted right now in the comment section is more comprehensive contact information for Majority Floor Leader Dean Plocher. Dean Plocher, if you don't know him, is one of these arrogant guys in Jeff City, and he thinks that gun owners exist to protect him. Our job is to give him a majority in Jeff City. Our job is to give his party votes. Our job is to give his party money. Our job is to give his party volunteer time. And then every so often, like every 5 years, they may pass a gun bill. That's what happened last year. It was 5 years between when we passed constitutional carry, stand your ground law, and all the rest of it in 2016 until we passed SAPA in 2021. That's not gonna cut it, for our members, Dean. So, guys, we have information right there. We're asking you guys to contact Dean Plocher using that more comprehensive contact information. You can text him directly. It's great. You should do it. And tell him we want House Bill 2118 on the floor for a vote. We want it done before adjournment. If you haven't been following our program on this, HB 2118 is Stand Your Ground law expanded. We have Stand Your Ground law in Missouri right now in the context that there's no need to retreat before using defensive force. The problem is, if you're involved in a use of force situation, there's no way to invoke these protections until after you've been convicted on appeal. To me, to us, that's crap. That's crap. If the evidence clearly says that you did not break the law, that the force that you used was defensive, if the evidence is obvious, then you should never be arrested in the first place. This idea of being Mark McCloskey'd, of having a liberal prosecutor like corrupt Kim Gardner arrest you just because, and then let a jury figure it out down the road just because, if the idea that doesn't terrify you guys, it really should, because that's the problem we have right now. We have all these blue counties with these Soros-funded prosecutors, and they're trying to send a political message. They don't give a crap about justice. They don't give a crap about what happened in your case. They want to send a message. They want to do it at your expense, that if you shoot somebody or threaten to shoot somebody here in our county, we're going to put you in prison. We're going to put you in prison. That's what happened to Mark McCloskey. They tried to do so, right? That's what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse. This is what happens these days with woke liberal prosecutors who are coming after gun owners every chance they get. House Bill 2118 would do away with all that. That bill says that if the force you used was lawful, if there's no probable cause that you used unlawful force, you can't even be arrested. You can't even be arrested, let alone convicted. That's why we need House Bill 2118. It does not legalize murder, as the national media likes to say. Of course, they claim that SAPA did that. They claim Stand Your Ground law did that. They claim that, all the bills we passed did that, right? Doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. What it does is it says that unless that force was unlawful, then you're not going to be held accountable because you didn't do anything wrong. And if you did, if you are arrested, if you do have to invoke Stand Your Ground law, House Bill 2118 also changes the way in which you do that. Instead of doing it after you're convicted on appeal, after you're broke, after your life has been ruined, this bill establishes a pre-trial immunity hearing process that would allow you to invoke these protections in advance. So the way it goes is, if you are indicted, if you're about to stand trial, your counsel can go before the judge in a pre-trial hearing, say, Your Honor, my client does not dispute the fact that he shot this individual, or he attempted to, or he threatened to. That's not a dispute. But the evidence makes it clear that my client did so in a justifiable use of force, in a self-defense situation. Here's the evidence. It's obvious that it complies with Missouri's current self-defense laws, and we should not be here. We are immune from these charges. If the judge agrees, that's it. You're done. No more being McCloskey'd, not having to spend 1.5 years of your life and God knows how much money in court trying to defend yourself. No more being Kyle Rittenhouse, where your entire life is hanging by a thread. If the evidence does not show that you broke the law, you wouldn't even be charged, let alone risk a conviction and ruining the rest of your life. So HB 2118 is the bill that we need to fix the problems with Missouri's self-defense laws. And the thing is, this is not new. We already have, I think it's 16 states that already have this on the books. So it's not new. It's just not on the books here yet in Missouri. So guys, there's contact information right there. Take a moment, contact Dean Plocher and tell him you want to see a vote this session on House Bill 2118. Guys, it's an election year. And they all think that they checked the box. They all think they checked the box because they passed SAPA last year. But guys, that was the minimum that they owed us as gun owners. That was the minimum they owed us. They blocked every gun bill for 5 years in Jeff City. So as far as we are concerned, last year's SAPA bill, that was the minimum. And now they have got to take action on House Bill 2118 because we do not want to see any more of our members get McCloskeyed by a liberal, corrupt, out of control, leftist, Soros-funded prosecutor. So guys, take action on this right away. Make your donation. Help us fight in court to save SAPA, number one. Contact Dean Plocher and tell him to move House Bill 2118. Step number two, share our video far and wide. Step number three, and finally, guys, if you're not yet a member, you got to get involved today. Join MOFC.com. Join MOFC.com and get involved in this fight today. Thank you for your time, guys. Share this video far and wide. More information to come.